there, how we make that transformation is going to be an inner choice that you're going to make. And you have that ability. You can choose to go kicking and screaming and fighting and in resistance and in denial, but it's going to happen. You cannot avoid it. Or you can choose to go with it with the, as this woman did, with the elegance and the beauty and the style, as if she was the queen of the earth. And I believe in her mind that she knew that she was. And people spoke of her as being that person. Here was an individual who, at the time when she was growing up, we know that women were seen as something less than even a possession. They were just, something to have around. That they had no ability, they had no talent, they had no intelligence, that they should just be, dragged along behind or something like that. And this woman rose in her own way to be this incredible individual. She was an international publicist for Warner Brothers. She was like at the level of VP for the movie studio Warner Brothers. And she traveled in that community of celebrities and stars, and everything about her life was elegant, and everything was about magnificent, and everything was about, having the best in life. And as I was listening to the stories of her family, it was quite interesting because they're Jewish. And so most of the family was about, being frugal, being thrifty, being, saving. And yet here was Helen. She was like, only went to the best places, and always ordered the most extravagant thing and had her house filled with all of the lovely things that they want. And the rest of the family would be, oh, Helen, what are you doing? And they were laughing about it too. Because some part of them understood this. They wanted that experience. They wanted what she had. But they were caught up in their experience and they could not see it. So if they couldn't see it, they couldn't believe it. See? But if you can believe it, you will see it. There were photographs that Shirley had available at Parrots Paradise that showed the property and the house when her son Rick moved in. Now just picture, because you've seen these all over the valley here, the most barren part of the desert. Even the rocks were disheveled. The grains of sand were out of place. The weeds couldn't even get along with each other. And then to look at this paradise that had been created on the inside of this hedge that moves around the property. When you walk through the gate, it's like you have entered into that idea of heaven. The beauty and the magnificence that has been created there did not happen by some accident. It required an individual to have an idea, to have a thought, to have a concept about beauty, about nature, about what could be. And this doesn't happen easily. For I know that there was, in this time by which this was created, there were some difficulties. There were some challenges. There were some very sad stories. There was some heartbreaking adventures that were going on. There was some grief that happened there. There was some doubt, some uncertainty. But the perseverance, the ability to prevail, to move step by step by step. If the plant did not survive, then another one could be brought in. And maybe it just needed a little bit more water, or maybe it needed to be a little bit further east or south or west, or maybe something had to be arranged around it. I know Shirley, and I know that she's out there every morning, and I know that she's continuing to give it that sense of love. When she goes out and she speaks to her roses, I'm telling on her. She talks to her roses. Some people might think that's crazy. But if you have ever seen the roses that she brings in here, you know that they are responding to the very voice in which she gives them. The very essence of life when she says, "Bloom, my beauties, bloom." And she says that, I know she does. She's out there, and she's had this experience that where some might have been devastated a month ago or so. We had those incredible winds come in. This beautiful shade tree that had been overseeing most of the back patio had fallen. Oh my God. What would one do? Well, some people might have just panicked. Some people might have just lost everything in that moment. And I know that there was probably a fleeting second in which she began to think, what am I going to do? But in that presence, in that divine essence of who she is, she had a new thought. She began to understand that there could be something created out of this. So she stepped into a place of gratitude, into that place of knowing that it didn't hit the house. This is good. There was some good in this. It did not hit the house. And then she began to visualize, and she began to realize there could be a wonderful bench at which many people could sit upon and gather together in community. And people came in to help cut up the tree, and they were like, oh no, we just need to cut it up into small pieces and get it out here. And she's like, no, 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 no. There's a divine plan here. I know what it is. I know. And so she began to supervise and direct. And out of this comes this gorgeous bench. And you know, almost everybody that attended there went over and sat down and tried it out because it was an experience. And then they had another idea. What if we took some of the branches and we cut them off, because we like to create prayer sticks. So there was an opportunity for people to pick up a prayer stick off of this beautiful tree that had transformed into a new purpose. It's now there for people to rest upon. And you could create your prayer stick in whatever way you wanted to. And how fortunate I am that in a moment of, brilliance beyond my understanding, I decided to do a little carving and put Dr. Tig in here. And sure enough, I left it behind and forgot it. But my name was on it. And so it was picked up and brought back to me. That's what we do. We create in this way that brings forth something magnificent, because we know that the world is changing. You cannot stop the change that's happening in the world. It must be. It is going to change. It is physical form. Its whole destiny is to move through an experience, to move through a cycle.